He's admitted that he did that several times, but as to exactly how many times or where or when, I believe the state acknowledged in their opening that they really didn't know the path of travel. It is essentially speculation. But what we've shown you, I think, at this point is that although Mr. Bryan did all those things, that's not a false imprisonment. Among other things, Mr. Bryan with his own vehicle can't do that on his own. And we know that the McMichael vehicle has gone back down Satilla to Zellwood and all the way around, which is why Mr. Arbery is alone there for key parts of this encounter. All right. The court will charge you on the law with respect to false imprisonment. This is count 8. The McMichael attorneys have already gone over this in some detail. I'll try to avoid that same ground. First, where there is no confinement, no detention, there can be no false imprisonment. That's the law, pretty basic. Mr. Arbery never really stopped. He never submitted. I think the state's position was that Mr. Arbery resisted to the end of his life. And in saying that, I mean no disrespect to Ahmaud Arbery. I do not wish in any way to lessen the magnitude of this tragedy. I'm simply applying the relevant law to the facts. I'm going to use a different example to kind of illustrate the point I'm trying to make. I try to be humorous at sometimes the humor is not successful. If it's not, please don't hold it against Mr. Bryan. To illustrate the point I'm trying to make here, let us consider the classic example of a bank robbery. A man with a gun enters the bank and yells, "Get down on the ground. I will shoot." There are 3 customers in the bank. The first is a lawyer. The second is a school teacher. The third is a college freshman listening to music, texting a girl, and late for class. Now, instead of getting on the ground, and before the robber can even finish his thought, the lawyer foolishly asks, "Hey, don't I know you?" The lawyer gets shot. He instantly dies. This is murder or felony murder. However, this is not false imprisonment. The second customer, the school teacher, says, "Please don't shoot me. I have children. I'm taking a busload of kids to the museum." She gets on the ground. The school teacher has complied with the robber's commands. She's shaken but otherwise okay. The school teacher, she has been falsely imprisoned. The third customer, the college freshman, for whatever reason, ignores the bank robber. The college freshman says nothing, but runs out the door just as fast as he can. He never looks back. When his parents call later that day asking how he's doing, the college freshman doesn't even mention his near-death experience. The college freshman, although certainly fortunate to be alive, has not been falsely imprisoned. Likewise, in the case before us under Georgia law, I would respectfully submit to you whatever other crimes may have been committed that day, Mr. Arbery was not falsely imprisoned prior to his tragic death. Now, Ms. Dunikoski may see things differently. For reasons that should soon be clear, she may contend, remember, under Georgia law, she always gets the last word, that Mr. Arbery did somehow submit in the last moments of his life to a combination of the harsh verbal commands of the McMichael defendants, if they did so, and the brandishment of the shotgun, if that happened. That's not exactly the way I recall the evidence, but I would submit that there's still no false imprisonment here as a matter of law. Why? Please look more carefully at count 8. Mr. Bryan is not charged with falsely imprisoning Mr. Arbery with either verbal commands or guns. That is not how the indictment reads. It alleges that Mr. Arbery was confined and detained, quote unquote, using said pickup trucks. The Cobb County District Attorney, I would suggest that you should hold them to that language. Nor does count 8 allege that Mr. Arbery was falsely imprisoned on Burford. Count 9 alleges an attempt to commit false imprisonment on Burford. We'll come back to that. But count 8 does not allege that Mr. Arbery was falsely imprisoned on Burford. Now, that may be where the state contends the chase started, but the indictment alleges the false imprisonment with pickup trucks happened on Holmes. The state contends that what you see on the that's what the state contends you see on the now famous video. We'll come back to that. There are several legal principles we should review before I move on. Again, I think I've discussed this. Abandonment is a defense to the charge of false imprisonment. And I think I've been through that, so I won't torture you with that again.